boys and girls. Today I'm going to read the chapter called Serena. Yes, Serena. She is going to come back into Lewis's life with a shebang. Here we go. During the next 10 weeks, Lewis got rich. He went every evening except Sundays to the nightclub and played his trumpet for the customers. He didn't really like this job at all. The place was big and crowded and noisy, and everybody was talking too loud or just eating too much. Anyway, most birds sleep during the night. They go to sleep at sundown. They don't want to stay up half the night entertaining people. But Lewis was a musician, and musicians can't choose their working hours. They must work when their employer wants them to. Every Saturday night, Lewis collected his pay, $500. Mr. Lucas was always on hand to receive his agent's fee of 10% from Lewis. So Mr. Lucas got $50 and Lewis got $450, which he would put in his money bag, hop into the waiting taxi, and return to Bird Lake. At arriving home at about 3 a.m., his money bag grew so stuffed with money, Lewis was beginning to worry. On Sunday afternoons, if the weather was good, crowds of people would gather on the shores of Bird Lake, and Lewis would stand on the island in the middle of the lake and give a concert. This became a popular event in Philadelphia, and it was amazing how much people loved to listen to him play. He was earning his right to remain free and not have his wings pinioned. He was always his best on Sundays because instead of playing jazz and rock and folk and country and western, he could play selections from the great composers like Beethoven and Mozart. Lewis also liked the music of George Gershwin and Stephen Foster. When he played Summertime from Porgy and Bess, the people of Philadelphia felt that it was the most thrilling music they had ever heard. He even got to play one day with the Philadelphia Symphony Orchestra, which was really, really amazing. One day, about a week before Christmas, a great storm came up. The sky grew dark and the wind blew a howling gale. It made a whining noise. Windows rattled. Shutters came off houses. Old newspapers and candy wrappers were picked up by the wind and scattered like confetti. Many of the creatures in the zoo were scared, and the zookeepers were really trying to keep all of the animals very, very safe. Lewis rode out the gale on the lake in the lee of the island. He faced the wind and kept paddling with his feet, his eyes bright with wonder at the strength of the blast, when suddenly he saw something flying across the sky. Had no idea what it was. It was falling out of the clouds. At first, he couldn't make out what it was. Maybe it's a flying saucer, he thought. Then he realized it wasn't a flying saucer. It was a large white bird, struggling. It was a large white trumpet or swan, beating rapidly and trying to control the wind as it tried to splash down. When it did, it flopped ashore, and it lay sprawled out, almost as if it were dead. Lewis stared and stared and stared. Then he looked again. "My goodness," he said to himself. "It looks like Serena." "It is Serena. Serena is here at last. My prayers have been answered." But were they? Lewis wanted to help Serena the best he could, but she was exhausted from the storm. The storm, which had flown halfway across America, landed her off-flight and in Philadelphia. He wanted to rush to her, but he wanted to take his time. Would she remember who he was? How would he go approaching her? Right now, all he wanted was for her to rest.